This week on Maker Update, a LUM-powered synthesizer, too many keys, reflecting on color, and a robot that will steal your heart. We're at OpenSauce 2025.
Hey, and welcome to a very special episode of Maker Update. This week, Tyler and I are here at OpenSauce 2025. This is a gathering of makers and YouTubers celebrating creativity and showing off their cool projects. And that's what we're here to see. We're here to see the cool stuff. So let's go take a look around and see what we can find.
My name is Robin, and this is my project. It is a Dragonfly wind synthesizer. So it is a digital synthesizer where the amplitude is actuated by an air pressure sensor, so you can blow it just like a real wind instrument. So the air pressure sensor, I buy it from you guys, is the MPX 1050 GP air pressure sensor. It is hooked up to a Teensy 4.0, 4.1 microcontroller, and it also has other control inputs. It has a joystick, it has these keys you can play, but that's the general idea is a Teensy and the air pressure sensor. And then I did all the design myself for 3D printing, but I'm looking to get it manufactured because I want to have that like higher build quality, get PCBs made, all that. But that's the gist of it. Graham wanted the keycaps or the key switches on there because a lot of electronic wind instruments just have touch sensors, and so that's what I started with. They're just capacitive touch sensors. But we found that we really like the tactile feedback and the customizability of using key switches. So actually, right now there's no MIDI. The Teensy is generating all the audio itself, but I do intend to add MIDI output over USB eventually, because the Teensy can definitely do that. It's just I haven't gotten to it yet. So I'm definitely not at the end of the project, but I've learned a lot. I've been working on this for about a year now, and what I've learned is that before you can do it well, you have to do it. So it has to be kind of crappy at first and missing features and stuff, but one by one, I've gotten to this point where it has a lot of the features that I wanted. There's still some that I'm working on, but yeah, I guess I would say to someone who is looking to do this sort of thing is don't worry about making it good, just worry about making it. CatWizard.org is my website. And then if you specifically want to go to catwizard.org/dragonfly, that's my page about the project.
Yeah, hi, my name is Tim Gubski, and this is my project. The DIY Infinideck, or an omnidirectional treadmill you might call it. Basically, the project is an omnidirectional treadmill, which basically means that you can walk on it, stand on it, and it'll let you move in whatever direction you want. For this demo here, in theory you could stand on it, but it's a little bit small because I ran out of money. So I have a demo where I have the OpenSauce robot, and you can move him around using the force with a little bit of hand tracking. This was definitely heavily inspired by Disney's design. It was, when it came out, it was like insanely novel, and I'd never seen anything like it before. Yeah. But they kept kind of the internal mechanisms under wrap, and I kind of wanted to see if I could figure out how it works. So this, I believe, works pretty similar to how theirs works, where you have an array of these like angled cones, and you can modulate which way it's angled with one motor, and spin the top surface with another, and you can see there's like two coaxial gears here that allow you to get that in a kind of sleek package. And when you have an array of these and you have some kind of box or surface touching on top of it, it only touches that upper surface, and by rotating that, you can kind of push something tangent to that top surface. Sure. Right? So over here I have a big array of them. The design is slightly different from this. Instead of having 2 motors per module, I have 2 much bigger motors per cluster of 14. And then overhead I have a camera tracking an Aruko marker on the robot so I can get its exact position. And I have a leap motion hand tracker so you can input what position you want to get it to. So I have, for every one of these clusters, I have a magnetic encoder, so I know exactly where it's like rotated to. but I have 6 clusters, so I have to kind of manually synchronize them all because I haven't added like a homing procedure yet. And then on the software side, basically, I have a calibration sequence that when you turn it on, will move the robot head in some random direction and figure out what angle the modules need to be at to get that direction. You can go to my website or my YouTube. The YouTube's on the banner. My website is thatname.com.
I'm Matthew Dockery with Attoparsec, and I'm here to show you the 1000 keyboard, a keyboard with 1 key for each of the 1,000 most common English words. It is on 5 PCBs with a single switch matrix spanning all 5. They are grouped alphabetically with alternating by color to help with navigation, plus some utility keys for punctuation, and then you can also change the case or inflection of a word if that makes sense for that word. So I wanted to do a really big keyboard and was inspired by Randall Munroe's Upgoer 5 comic, where he just uses the 1,000 most common English words to describe technical concepts. So this is an implementation of that. Some of the tricky parts were printing the keycaps, because I needed custom keycaps for all these words, which I ended up doing die-sub printing. And then it all runs off a Teensy with 5 port expander chips, because I needed 77 lines of I/O for the switch matrix. These just connect over I2C. Pretty simple little control system there. It's just a lookup table really internally onto a matrix with all the words and all the inflected forms. I've done other bad keyboards before, but this is definitely the worst.
Hi, I'm Andrew Kotite.
And I'm Ben Mathia.
And we're OK Design. We're a 2-man design team that specializes in making technical artwork. And behind us is our the gateway. It's made out of 91 dynamically tilting infinity mirrors. In the sculpture, there's over 11,000 LEDs. Custom light rings, custom driver electronics, all the mechanical, electrical, firmware, and software was built in-house.
Each one has its own circuit board. It has 2 motors. They all talk over CAN network, which is based on each module. It breaks into modules of 7 panels, or panels of 7 cells, I should say.
Yeah, and the whole thing breaks down into 13 pieces, and we put them all together, and they share basically one network that we just blast data out to. And so we're able to get a lot of cool effects, and getting the spacing, the alignment, the kind of transmissivity that we wanted took a lot of work. But then once we knew what we wanted, we decided to go a little big and build this at about 8.5 feet tall. It's a labor of love. It took a lot of help from friends to help assemble it. So we brought our closest 20 friends to help put this together. The way this works is we got a semi-custom universal hinge, and so the mirror tilts inside like this. And we got also a semi-custom linear motor, very tiny stepper motor, and it rides this cam that we got CNC'd out of Delrin. And there's a spring that opposes the other side. So you have 2 of them, and you could get 2-dimensional motion, an X and Y. And inside each one of those, we have a light ring. And this is not great panel utilization, but 120 LEDs around the entire perimeter. It's a 4-layer board because of the amount of power and brightness you need to actually get a good effect, because all the light is basically being absorbed. Only 30% is leaving the sculpture. And we made our own custom diffusers. And that's all controlled by our custom circuit board as well. So we do all the power regulation, can pass through over USB Type-C, so it's a twisted pair. And the light ring and the motor controllers all live on this board. So it makes it incredibly modular. We could build a sculpture of any size. The only thing is it depends on how big it is for the data rate, but we could add more buses if need be.
Yeah, so we have 13 separate CAN networks for each module, and those all plug into a CAN to USB adapter, and then those all go through huge USB hubs into the laptop, and everything's controlled from there.
And all the patterns, we could make very dynamic patterns. I mean, it doesn't only just do this, wild rainbow swirl. Everything is completely programmable and built in-house.
What's up? My name is Davis DeWitt. I'm a special effects and practical effects engineer for film and TV. So today I want to introduce you to one of my favorite projects. This is Newt. He was built specifically for a movie I was commissioned to make him. He's the plucky little robot sidekick character. So he was made to be on set as a practical thing, as a real robot. And so I got to build him, design him, and then operate him on the actual shooting days. And one of my favorite jobs. Like, you basically get to pretend to be a robot for a day and try and translate those emotions into a controller. But then outside of that, I also do other really weird, silly projects. So I also build condiment launchers, I build giant air horns, I build all kinds of like remote control stuff. But really just, I love making movies and I love making special and practical effects. So Newt was actually built over 3 years ago, even though the movie just came out. So the behind the scenes is that it's actually an Arduino Nano. It's really simple. Mainly because the actual controller itself is providing a lot of the data in and out. I just wanted something robust. For my other projects, I try to go a little bit more custom on making, PCBs from scratch. A lot of ESP32s, they're great for, high hardware applications. But a lot of it is just trying to focus on integrating that electronics and artistry. Like how do you make something look like it's weathered, look like it existed in that world? And that's where that all kind of meshes, is in that props and special effects world.
All right, and that does it for this week's show. A big thanks to all the makers who took the time to talk with us today at Open Sauce 2025. Big thanks as always to DigiKey for making this show possible, and thank you for watching. We'll see you soon.